Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Kicking Show, the official podcast of Kicking the Tires. You can find our website at kickingthetires.net and all of our social media online at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Kicking the Tires. Zach Catanzaretti joining us tonight up in New Jersey. Looks like he's cold with the beanie. Seth Eggert in Mooresville, North Carolina. Guys, my two co-hosts tonight. I'm Jerry Jordan. What are y'all thinking? Let's before we get into the show, I want to go over what we've seen so far with the Cup car. And I know it's kind of off script, but I do want to go over see what do y'all think so far? Technically 4 races in, the LA Coliseum, Daytona, California, and Las Vegas. Now we're heading into Phoenix.
Well, we've definitely got the best kind of sample size of what I feel like this car can do. We've gotten to see the shortest track, we've seen in years and years with the LA Coliseum and how that thing really handles with, hard braking and like really tight, slow corners, particularly how it handles contact. We spoke about it. There was no tire rubs even, no, tires were letting go. I feel like the cars were really holding up and feel like they raced really well. And we go to Daytona. That's really important to me because I love super speedway racing. Drives me crazy. I'm always super nervous, but I feel like it really drove well in the draft. I love the usability of both the inside and outside lanes. I felt like one guy just couldn't get up and just start blocking lanes, and they were pretty okay. I feel like you can really make things happen if you had a car underneath you. Then we go to Fontana, and we spoke about it last week. I just never seen a weekend that difficult for drivers. They were literally wiping out clean in practice and qualifying. Loads of backup cars, a lot of issues that we found, when it comes to tires going flat and cars getting stuck on the ground, certain things, and it felt like a few times it was getting to a point where you didn't know how they were going to fix certain things. But I know they're going to make, and they have made improvements so far, even though it's just a few races in. But I loved, and we heard Mark Martin talk about it, he loved seeing it back in the driver's hands, which we said that for years, but this year we literally are seeing it. And I love the racing there. It's such a unique type of track, so I really didn't know how Fontana would play throughout the year. That's why I really watched Vegas really closely, because it's a relatively smooth track. It's a little bumpy in 1 and 2. But I wanted to see how the cars reacted to that type of track, and I really liked it still. Vegas is one of my favorite 1.5 miles, and I feel like the cars were more on edge than usual, but it wasn't like a crazy wreck fest that, Fontana seemed like it was at times. They were able to kind of get a bit strung out and kind of do their own thing. We saw the importance of tires, which made a big deal at the end. 2 tires were okay for a little bit, as we saw. But 4 tires overall, I felt like it wasn't really just about getting out into clean air and just having track position. It was important to have your strategy, have your ducks in a row, and have it all planned out to the end. So, and one more thing is just the smaller teams doing well. I mean, Trackhouse has nearly won the last 2 races in 2 very different ways. Ross dominated Vegas, and Suarez kind of came and almost stole it there at the end, but either way, it was going to be well earned. So that's been great to see. And a lot of drivers who we always know to win races, they're back up front. Lawson's already won this year, and Hendricks won the last 2 now. But I feel like it's given us a lot to look at. I've been more excited to come on this show every week than last year, just because it's fresh and it's fun. And I think Jeff Gordon's words were refreshing, because that's what it feels like. So I couldn't be more happier. I knew there was going to be certain issues, but I just wanted to see how it reacted to 40 cars or 36 cars on track, and it's not let me down so far.
That's your thoughts, because I have my own thoughts about the new car, and I'll wait. But I will say this: I'm glad to see drivers spinning out.
I am too. It's refreshing, and honestly, it reminds me a lot of, in a sense, my childhood growing up watching NASCAR in the late 1990s, early 2000s, of drivers just breaking loose, spinning out, and having handling issues. It's it's not something we're used to, at least in this day and age of NASCAR, but it is refreshing, and it does harken back to the era essentially of Dale Sr., Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, Terry Labonte, and others, which a lot of people point to that era as NASCAR's heyday or NASCAR's peak, which if that's the case, and these cars are driving almost identically to that, isn't that probably one of the best things possible right now?
Well, yes, except for the fact that, you've got older drivers that are actually saying they like it. Back when they were driving it, they didn't like it. Now they like it. Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, these guys, they like the fact that the cars are spinning out. They like the fact that they're touched around. We went through an era in NASCAR where it was driver comfort. That's what it was all about. And we had strings of championships by Jimmy Johnson and, other drivers, running up front and getting wins. The cars were easier to drive. Certain drivers took advantage of that. Certain teams were able to monopolize and capitalize on that. Now the cars are angry. They don't want to hold their spot on the track. They don't want to hold their line. They want to get out from under you a little bit from time to time. You don't make the right adjustment, you might back the Ethel M's Toyota Camry into the outside wall and have to come from the back a couple times and almost win the race. Oh wait, he almost won the race after going to a car that was a parts car. Okay, and ran through the field
three times.
When's the last time we saw that? Went to a backup
Kurt Busch
car with
Kurt Busch was in the backup car, but he ran through the field 4 times at Fontana.
well, there's that. Oh wait, that was with the new car.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When did we see a backup car do so well with the old car, or go through the field 3 times in one race?
the only thing I can think of is maybe one of the road courses when Chase Elliott had a pre-race penalty. But that's the only thing I can think of.
I can't think of a car that went to the back or spun out or had a flat or had a bad, got into somebody or hit the wall or whatever, that's been able to rebound and contend. And we've seen that this year with this new car. We saw some of the best racing that I think we've seen at Las Vegas in a long time. That may have been the best race I've ever seen at Las Vegas this past weekend. So, I'm happy with the new car. I give it an A+. Okay, I'll give it an A, because they still need to fix the issue with we didn't see anybody get stuck after having a flat.
At least at Vegas, anyway.
Yeah, but I will say this, maybe the drivers got a little smarter and think and let the car roll off of the angle of the bank so that they can, get some traction. I'm not sure. Maybe we just got lucky, but get off of the angle, get off. So maybe that's the difference.
Except maybe Christopher Bell with that wobble his car had after he spun. Yeah.
That was funny.
That's where the tread, I guess, came off the tire and wrapped around it. I've actually done that in a real vehicle, just for the record. I used to have, my first car was a Chevrolet 1976 Custom Deluxe. Okay, folks, it was old when I got it, just because I was born in 71. So it was 5 years, I was 5 years old when this truck was made. But the tires, it was my first car. I was like 16. I didn't have money for tires. I didn't care if they were, had no tread on them, but the tread came off, and that happened to me going down the road. That is a weird feeling. Just for the record.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I had something similar happen to me. It wasn't the tread coming off, rather it was a wheel bearing fail on I-77 in my first car, which was a 2008 Chevrolet Max.
Those things wheel bearings will catch on fire.
Yeah, it didn't, but yeah.
Ask the Xfinity hauler driver who had to stop on the side of the road to put the fire out going to Daytona from Charlotte, because the wheel bearing went out and the whole back end, they almost lost a hauler.
Yeah,
that was crazy. So Zach, you have any crazy car stories?
Well, it's funny because when I was watching Bell's issue, it looked like the rear tire was like puffed out a bit. I guess that's just maybe how the angle looked, but it made me remember a time when I had a flat tire. It got flat, and I remember stopping on the side of the road. I was actually going to a flight to go to Homestead, I think, one year. And I stopped and I started putting air into the tire, and instead of the tire just like going up, it started coming out.
Oh, the
Like-
bubble. You got a
Like
bubble.
like a balloon.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell is? And as soon as I bent down to take it out, it exploded,
You're lucky.
and my ears rang for I think like a minute. It was so loud.
Hey.
It scared the crap out of me, dude.
I was taking photos when Clip Boyer's tire exploded at Homestead one year. If you remember when it
Yeah.
got so hot and it went boom, and it blew up in the as a tire carrier was changing the
Menard.
tires.
Oh,
Was that
Menard.
Menard? Oh, okay, I thought
Menard.
it was Boyer.
Yeah.
Okay, it was.
That was huge. That was
and-
huge.
And there was another one at Watkins Glen.
Derek Cope.
That was
on
Derek
the
Cope's
chicane.
car. Yeah, Derek Cope. And
Yeah.
I remember Goodyear hates me for this headline. I called it Tire Bomb, and Goodyear was it went off like a bomb. It did.
totally a bomb.
Yeah, but Goodyear hated me for that. They're like, I'm like, dude, you got more hits off that. Sabrini didn't care. He's like, and now I'm talking about it. So we're gonna lose our Goodyear sponsorship. Oh Lord. Oh, speaking of, I need to give a shout out since we were recapping Vegas and kind of talking, or talking about the car, but coming off Vegas, we're gonna get into the recap. Shout out to South Point Hotel and Casino. We did the podcast from there last year, from their sports book. That was really cool. This year, I stayed there for the race. They always take care of us. So if anybody ever wants to go out to Vegas, let me know. We'll try to get something worked out for you guys on the show to come out to Vegas and hang out at the South Point, because it's really a fabulous hotel. It's a good casino too. I want some money, but that makes it even better. But it's not on the strip and the hustle and bustle of all the craziness. Now, if you want that, you can go do that. But the South Point's really cool. They've got all kinds of stuff: movie theaters, bowling alleys, a rodeo arena. They had a rodeo while we were there. So yeah, it's nightclubs, good food. Yeah, so that's one of the bright points of going to Vegas, is being able to hang out there, and because that's where everybody in the industry, if you're a driver, your team, almost everybody there stays there. So now that we're on Vegas, what did y'all think of the Vegas race? We kind of talked about the car recap, but what about the action on the track?
Like I said, it reminded me a lot of an older race, and I loved it personally, at least for the Cup Series. For the Xfinity Series, it was a bit chaotic. There were some good cars taken out in some incidents, and a rivalry I didn't know we needed between Ryan Sieg and Ty Gibbs.
We always need rivalries.
Yeah. And that one went extra long because of the red flag.
I don't think it's over.
Probably not. I don't think Ryan's pleased with him or himself after that.
Ryan Sieg, just a word of advice.
Yeah.
If you're going to take out a driver, take out the driver. Don't take yourself out and two other guys.
Yeah,
Just take him out. You're going to get punished by NASCAR no matter what. Everybody saw what you were doing. Okay. We knew what was going to happen. Just wreck him. Just get it over with. He deserved it. And you know what the irony of the whole thing was? You didn't wreck him, Ryan, and he went to victory lane. That's got to sting.
the two people I feel bad for are Brett Moffitt and Sheldon Creed, who got damaged just by being innocent victims, wrong place, wrong time. But yeah, that rivalry did go a little longer because of a snow delay in the desert.
I think we've had a snow delay before in Las Vegas, to be honest with you.
Well, Vegas, I don't know about, but I know we had one at Bristol in 2005.
We had a sandstorm at Vegas one time too. That delay, because I was there.
And then the snow at Martinsville a few years ago.
Snow at
And
Martinsville.
I knew too much about. I got stuck in
And
there.
snow at Atlanta in 93, I want to say it was.
Well, Zach, what did you think of the retaliatory actions of Mr. Sieg? And I like Ryan. I mean, surely I'm not the first guy to tell him just Just do it.
I love Ryan too. Ryan's a great guy. I love his fire. I love his passion, and he and his family do a lot for the Xfinity series. It's been around for so long. Yeah, that just wasn't good. He just it's just hard when you're driving one of those cars. You don't see everything around you. His car was heavily damaged, so I'm sure. I think he was getting black flagged because he was driving so slow.
But was
No,
he driving?
No, they
what-
told him to
was-
come in. They told him to come in
no,
and
no.
clean it up. Yeah,
yeah,
they knew what he was
but
doing.
yeah, I was gonna say, was he driving slow because of the damage or because he was waiting?
That I don't know, but I think it was-
Everybody knew, Zach. Everybody at the track knew. They were watching. Yeah.
what I'm saying, he should have sped up. I think he was going a little too slow, and he saw him coming up, and he kind of panicked a bit. Yeah, you just have to. There's a way to do certain things, and I think perhaps even waiting another few laps, waiting on a restart, doing it on pit road, wait till next week when your car's in better shape and perhaps you're actually running for position. Yeah, that just didn't look good. But when you're in the heat of the moment in these cars, you're never thinking clearly. I mean, we saw, what we always hear what drivers say on the radio, but later they're like, oh, that was stupid. So yeah, it wasn't done well, and it injured his car for his team, and it hurt another few guys, and it didn't hurt Ty one bit.
Well, go ahead,
here's-
Seth, because I was there with Ty after the race, so I want to
Well,
add something.
Well, here's my thing. During the snow delay, the two of them talked about it, not the retaliation, but they talked about the initial incident. And I think it was Jamie Little who went up to Ryan Sieg and asked him if it was over, and Ryan, with a smile on his face, said, "Oh, it's not over." Yeah, you just knew
Something
it
to
was
that effect.
coming.
I don't know if that was the exact quote,
yeah,
but
yeah, I'm saying
probably
verbatim.
not, or something. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying verbatim at least.
But Ty handled it, I think, really well. Not only did he not let it get to his head and he won the race, but like one of the first things he said after the win was that he again apologized to Ryan and him. So it wasn't anything that he meant to do. It was like in racing terms, as
No,
what the air does to the cars. And we see that all the time, guys getting runs throughout the corner, and they don't just go right to your left rear corner because they know it's going to spin the car around. So yeah, it was just a rookie mistake on his part, and I think he knew that after.
He knew what he did. He knew. I mean, he kind of admitted in post race. He made a mistake. He wasn't thinking about how hard it is for these guys to. Ryan is a family-owned team, and look. At the end of the day, Ty is a good kid. He's just a little rambunctious. Okay, and I asked him after the race as he's in the winner's press conference, I said, dude, I kind of said it like that too. I'm like, you're kind of known already for driving aggressive and, what can you learn from this? And what's your takeaway? And that's when he reiterated that, he apologized to Ryan. He shouldn't have happened. And, made a mistake. And then I said, because you're not the biggest guy in the garage. And he's like, but I can run.
That's true.
Well,
he could dip and dive. Yeah.
It was great. It was like the whole media center busted out laughing. But I'm like, okay, so good, because Ryan Sieg's bigger than you. Half the Xfinity garage is bigger than you. So yeah, that's I worry about him sometimes. I worry about Ty sometimes.
I do want to also mention real quick, we had Ryan Ellis on the show last week, and he goes out and he scores a career best finish. And
Stat guy, how often does that happen?
We've had 5 drivers on the show so far.
Okay.
4 of them have gone on to get their career best finish at the next race they ran.
You know what
Ryan
that means?
Vargas, Anthony Alfredo, Roger Carruth, and now Ryan Ellis.
You know what that means?
Everyone should come on the show that needs to improve their finish.
That's right. Okay, so if you're a driver and you're sitting through this show and you've made it this far without turning us off, you need to come on the show because we are good luck. Okay? Just some guys sitting around talking about NASCAR, but we bring good finishes. It's proven. 4 out of 5 drivers can't be wrong.
The only driver that didn't improve their finish was because he just came off his first career win, and that was Brandon Brown.
There you go.
Mm.
That's right. Yeah, and actually, we sponsor the car earlier in the year, so I was in, taking pictures and doing stuff at Texas Motor Speedway with him. He goes to Talladega and he wins. It's all revolves around being involved with kicking the tires. So if you're a driver, this is my shtick. This is how I'm going to spin it to get guests on the show. If you're a driver and you want to do well, you need to be involved with kicking the tires.
That's not really a spin. That's just a fact.
Boom!
I had no idea. That's
mic
shocking.
drop.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that is a stat fact. The 4 of the 5 drivers, and one of them, the 5th one, has a win. So that makes me feel really good. News today: Steve O'Donnell has been promoted to the Chief Operating Officer's position for NASCAR. He will still oversee a lot of the same stuff that he does, but Ben Kennedy has been moved from the innovation side back over to competition. He is now a senior vice president over competition. Get ready, folks. At some point in time in the next 10, 15 years, Ben Kennedy is going to be the president of NASCAR, or whatever they call it, chief executive officer, or whatever. He will be the guy running this place. And everybody says, even O'Donnell, Steve Phelps, they all say Ben Kennedy is good for this sport. I can't disagree, because I saw what he's done so far. I saw what he did with the Coliseum, with the Clash. I've seen what he's done with taking and moving us forward and getting us out of a rut. And he's had a lot of help. But it's great to see Ben doing the things that he's been able to do. So maybe I can get Ben on the show.
I was going to actually say that before the show. I feel like he's someone who would do it. I mean, of course, he knows the sport inside and out. It's been a part of his life since day one, really. He knows so much from the driving side. He won a truck race, and he was actually, quite good. He got some good opportunities, and it's nice to have someone who's younger, who, like, you always wonder about who's going to take over these roles. We've had that discussions about owners, and now we have a lot of new owners, coming in, and because there's nothing wrong with a Rick Hendrick, right, or a Joe Gibbs, but once you look down, what's new, what's hip, what's coming in, and who, it kind of gives you an idea of how the outside world kind of views the sport. And with Ben, he's not really an outside guy, but he's that next generation who kind of connects with what this generation wants. And as you said about the Coliseum, that was right from him. So I would love to have him on the show, and I'm sure he would be able to do it.
Yeah, I'll put out a feeler to see if we can make that one happen. And he's a driver too, so he knows what it's like. He's driven all the way up to the Xfinity Series, so he's gone through the ranks and done what the drivers do. So he knows that side of the sport as well. Speaking of drivers, any standout drivers that you guys have thought of so far this year?
Eric Almirola, for me, I believe he had 5 top 10s all of last year, and he already has 3. He's the only guy to have him in all 3 races. It's his last year in the sport, and you always want them to do well in their last year, but I didn't have any expectations for him at all. So for him to have not only top 10s, but high top 10s, like right on the border of the top 5 in every race, that's really saying a lot for him. And he's had to overcome some issues throughout the year, like Fontana. He had a couple spins throughout the weekend, or half spins. So to see him actually running well, whereas Stewart-Haas overall, they're doing well, they're doing okay. Chase Briscoe got a top 5 at Daytona, had a great run at Fontana. Custer's been right on the cusp of top 10s. Harvick's kind of similar to what he was last year. But yeah, I would say Almirola is one, and then Trackhouse, of course. They've nearly won the last 2 races, and they're not really looking at themselves as a small team, which in my eyes they are, because they're so new, and it's now they're 2 cars, which is a new set of challenges. But they have Chastain's basically a veteran in the series now, and Suarez has been around. He's been with lots of big teams, and they're doing so well so far. So I know Suarez said he had a great car at Vegas. He didn't get to really showcase it. He got wrecked early, but that's just that type of look that I wanted to see. I wanted to see those smaller teams go up there, and I wanted to see someone like Almirola, hopefully cap off his career with the best season of his career, which it's starting out to look like.
Seth, your thoughts?
Well, honestly, listening to Zach, I've been thinking about it, and I've actually changed who I was going to say. Originally, I was going to say I didn't really have a driver. I had a team, which was Trackhouse Racing. But the more I sat and thought about it, for me, the person that's really stood out is the Daytona 500 champion, Austin Cindric. Not only did he go out and win the Daytona 500 as a rookie, he was running top 10 at Auto Club until he got swept up in the wreck with Keselowski and Bubba Wallace. And then again, this past weekend, he was running top 10 until he had a tire go down going into turn 3. He very easily could be with Almirola if it wasn't for things outside of his control and being one of what could have been 2 drivers with top 10s all year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to look at a couple of things there's different drivers that I've thought about so far this year. Eric Jones being one of them. He was competitive at California. He stayed out of trouble so far. And I think that shift with the dynamic of what they're doing over there with the petty GMS stuff has helped him.
He's going to get top 10.
Yeah.
Before 3 to go, he had that huge wreck.
Yeah.
And Bubba Wallace was up there as well, in position to get a top 10. Narrowly avoided Eric Jones, but in order to do so, he spun into the tire pack in the inside wall.
And not the pace car, thankfully.
Yeah, exactly. The other one is Tyler Reddick. And everybody says watch Tyler Reddick. Tyler Reddick, look, Xfinity Series champion. He can drive a car. I talked to him after the race though. He's having some trouble adjusting. I think he would have finished higher up in these races if his legs weren't going to sleep. He's having the vibration issue coming off of the pedals through his feet. He was having a hard time walking after Las Vegas. Kelly Crandall did a story on it. I interviewed him and as well, and she did an actual story on that. It seems like it's also bothering a few other drivers. I think we had it in our chat earlier this week, and I talked to a driver about it, not Tyler, but it has something to do with the length of the pedals is picking up the vibration off of the car, the transmission or whatever, and that's vibrating and making the driver's legs go numb. They're not used to that because these pedals, I think, come up from the floor and the other pedals used to hang down from the top. Yep. It was different connection mechanism. And I think Reddick would have had better finishes. And he hadn't sucked and he's run up front, but I think he would have better finishes if he wouldn't have had those issues.
Yeah. Corey LaJoie actually explained on SiriusXM NASCAR that there are a couple ways not to fix it, but to mitigate it. And because at Daytona and at Auto Club, his right foot went numb, but they were able to fix it mitigate it at Vegas that didn't go numb. Meanwhile, for Reddick, obviously they went the wrong way with the changes that they made with the seat, whether it was the way they mounted it or positioned it. And I'm guessing they would likely reverse that for Phoenix, so that way it's not both of his legs going numb.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem to hurt him too bad at Fontana, because that was just a perfect track and a perfect car. He was probably going to end up winning the race, but as I heard for Vegas, it got much worse. I do wonder how that affects how they actually drive the car, how it affects their actual performance, because like the difference between your legs and your feet, I'm sure is quite a bit different from your butt and your back, which tends to do the heavy load when it comes to feeling the car and feeling that pavement underneath you. Like with these tires, you're right on the edge of adhesion at all times. So if you don't have that feel, you can't really tell if the car's about to snap around. It definitely has some effect, but it's just a new issue for them that I'm sure they haven't had many times.
Well, I know Reddick has at least had it once before because Landon Huffman, who runs in late models now, who used to run in the Truck Series and also used to work for several teams. He was working for Brad Keselowski Racing when Reddick was driving for them. And Reddick had to pit from the lead at Dover one time because of numbness in its leg. So Reddick at least has had this before.
I seem to remember that,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Reddick's 18th overall in points. That doesn't seem he's won, he's gotten stage points, things like that. He hasn't run in the back. We talk about Daniel Suarez running up front and doing well with Trackhouse. He's in 25th overall. Okay, I know we're only 3 races in the season, so things kind of change. And the Kyle Larson has 113 points versus Reddick, who has 68, and Daniel Suarez has 53. So when you're looking at those numbers, yeah, Larson has twice as many as Suarez and 50 more than Reddick, but I still think Reddick, with the wins, with the performance of the stage wins, with the way that he's been running throughout the field, I have to argue that if he didn't have those issues with whatever this vibration is his legs going to sleep, and if it's not the car and it's something else, they need to get him checked out, obviously, for that. But I think he's done a hell of a job so far this year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 18 doesn't meet that criteria. But I'm going by where I'm not going by finishes. I'm going by where he's racing.
Well, let's flip the script, so to speak. And because we're talking about drivers that stand out, let's talk about ones that maybe are standing out for the wrong reasons.
Well, there's that.
And the one I'm going to point to immediately is Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
He's 30th in points.
He's 30th in points.
He's one ahead. He's one ahead of Cody Ware, and I love Cody Ware. Okay?
He's also one ahead of being ineligible for the playoffs.
Well, if he gets a win, he'll move up dramatically.
Yeah,
but he's behind Todd Gilliland. He's behind Corey LaJoie.
Well, what I was going to say is he essentially money shifted at Vegas. Went to go from second and third, and like the old H pattern, you go forward. Well, in the next gen car, going forward is your downshifting.
Right.
And he tore all 6 gears, including reverse, out of the transmission in the process.
I don't think I picked him for Vegas. Yay.
No one picked him for Vegas.
No, I'm talking about in the betting betting stuff. So yeah, that's so far for those that who understand gambling and betting, we're not that, it's not that horrible, but it's been, my drivers have been running up front and getting killed, run into the wall, spun out, flat tires. Just what am I supposed to do? I'll have more picks this week. Sooner or later, the odds are going to pay off in your favor. You're going to make money.
Yeah.
It's the hardest year, I would say, to pick anybody.
Yeah.
These opening races where it's just so hard for these teams to know what the hell they're doing.
This might actually be safer. Granted, I'm not trying to tell people not to bet on the Cup Series, but it might actually be safer to bet on Xfinity or trucks right now.
I considered doing that, but the odd, you don't with the Vegas odds though. If you're betting on the Xfinity or trucks, they don't always give you all of the drivers.
Yeah.
So, and then the way that they do their odds, it doesn't always come out to where it's beneficial for you to be able to race. So, for be able to bet on it. So you have to have good value money odds. That's why when I'm doing the betting column every week, I'm picking my favorite, my mid-tier value bet and my long shot bet. That I do those because look, we've seen long shots win the race, And I mean, Austin Cindric's a prime example, but when you're you want to be able to kind of cover that field, because you don't know, the unknown is the only thing that's constant in NASCAR. We don't know what's going to happen during a race. We don't know who's going to blow a tire and collect the field, so that's why I make the picks that I do. And I also, with my favorite, I break down how they're running. Sometimes there's a sleeper bet in the middle, a Ross Chastain or a Tyler Reddick, or even Alex Bowman winning the race this past weekend. His odds weren't the greatest. His odds were 15-1, I believe. So, it wasn't like he was a overall favorite guy to win. He wasn't a long shot. He was in that mid-tier bet. So when you're betting on NASCAR and you're doing that stuff, and NASCAR has 4 betting partners. We don't have any yet, but hopefully we can pick some up. But everybody, when you're looking at the odds and you're looking to see who's betting what, it's across the board. It's like a shotgun effect. So, because you could see in some places who's a favorite, who the guy that's getting the most bets. There's places where you can go to find out where all the action's at, and it's across the board with this stuff. So, but
what do you think of Kyle saying that Bowman backs in the wins? I feel this guy can't get any of his. He either gets called a hack, or every time he wins a race, the track.
Here's my thing. The first 3 of the wins that Bowman has, he dominated. Auto Club in 2020, Chicagoland his first win, and Dover last year. He doesn't back into all of his wins.
Stat guy, I'm not mistaken, but so far Bowman has more wins than Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Martin Truex Jr. and Christopher Bell combined this year, right?
No, here's a stat for you. Bowman has more wins in the past 13 months than Chase Elliott does.
Isn't he the second winningest driver?
At Hendrick right now.
Yeah, at Hendrick.
Second winningest active driver.
Yeah, and he backs into him. Kyle, choose your words carefully, dude.
And Hendrick has also won 22 of the last 44 races.
Yeah, well, 10 of them came from my guy.
I know, but I'm not finished with that statement, though. No team has ever won 23 in 45 races.
So they have to win this weekend.
Either that or it breaks their trend.
They win there quite a few times, so.
Yeah, they kind of know how to race at Phoenix, just saying. And didn't one of the wins from Kyle Larson come
and Chase Elliott?
But
because 44 races, that goes back not only through all of last season, but 4 races into 2020.
Right. So Chase Elliott had the season walk off of the first year.
Yeah, and then Larson
had the walk off last year. So, anybody picking a Hendrick car this week? Because I think I'm last, like one of the last ones to pick.
I'm the very last one, so I have a couple, but yeah.
I'm not saying yet because we're not to picks yet.
We got to do iRacing because we've done pretty much everything else on here. So I've got 2 other things on the schedule, and one of them I'm going to sign off the show with after we do picks.
So I made my debut in the eNASCAR iRacing, the eNASCAR Road to Pro iRacing Qualifier Series.
Hey, Zach, he finished the race.
Not only did I finish.
That's an improvement.
He got a top 10.
I started 15th out of 36 trucks in my split. I was in the 12th of 29 splits. So if you do the math, it's a max of 36 in a field. So 36 times 29. That's how many people entered last week at Vegas. And I was in the 12th split, so I was at least in the top half. Qualified 15th, made a rookie mistake in turn 4 on lap 1 and
1,044, just for the record.
Yeah. and I broke loose, dropped from 15th down to 32nd. Worked my way back up to 20th by green flag pit stops. I'm leaving pit road, caution comes out. Because someone ran out of fuel and got hit on track. So I take the wave around. On the restart, caution comes out. I go and top off. At this point, I'm running 20th. And I just start saving tires and saving fuel for green, white, checkered. 16 trucks either ran out of fuel or pitted with under 10 to go because they were running out of fuel. And I got a top 10 as a result. I finished 10th. If I wasn't saving fuel for a possible green, white, checkered, I probably could have gotten 7th or 8th. But not bad for a debut.
But he advanced.
Well, there's 6 more races in the series.
Right. So you have to race those to be able to move up to
Yeah, and it's only the top 70 that move to the second round.
Surely you can make that happen.
I can, but it's a little bit behind the
I
8 ball.
don't want to hear I
drop
don't
weight.
want to hear excuses. I just want to see wins.
Hey, I do also want to give a shout out to Peak Performance Motorsports. That's the team I'm working with. It was their setup that I was using. I made a last minute change on the amount of tape because I thought I was running a little hot in traffic. Probably is why I broke loose on lap 1, but again, that was a rookie mistake on me. Also, iRacing had an update this week. The Buick LeSabre is now available on iRacing. They updated all the trucks to 2022 specifications. They added the Brazilian Stock Car Series and the cars from the Michelin Pilot Challenge, along with some dirt tracks and some road courses.
Well, I need to get on my sim and I need to race. I haven't done it in a while. I did get on the other night and just kind of drive around and putt around and do some stuff. I don't want to get out there and mess with anybody's, mojo and mess up their real races. But I have been trying to do a little bit. Coming up, by the way, we have a For the Fans sponsorship. We will be sponsoring the race at Circuit of the Americas. And then I think we are off the schedule until Daytona for the right before the playoffs for the cutoff race. I think we're going to share that with Justin Schuler, maybe. He hasn't told me what he wants to use, but we sponsor, Kicking the Tire sponsors the entire playoff, all 10 races for the Fans Racing League. And that's going to be kind of cool with Justin Malillo and those guys over there.
And I can definitely tell Justin that I will be using the sponsor provisional if needed at Daytona and Talladega.
Not a problem. That's fine with me. That's what they're for. And if you want it at Coda, I'm not going to be driving at Coda. You can have it.
I'm not going to do Coda.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to use the provisional, please reach out to either the Kicking the Tires Twitter account or to me or to Jerry, and we can try to work something out.
Now, dun, dun, dun. What are the standings, Seth?
Well, let's start with trucks since all 3 series ran this past weekend. Matt picked the winner again. Matt has an even 100 points. I'm in second with 66. Sarah is in third with 62.
I think I'm in last.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Then it's Justin, Zach. You are tied with Rachel for 7th. Summer has 4 points.
I'm not sure how that happened either. So, I mean, how in the world? Poor Summer.
Because she picked Zane Smith, who got DQ'd.
Yeah, that's why.
It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Summer. I tried.
For Xfinity, Zach, you picked the winner. But you are second in points to Jerry.
Woohoo!
Who'd Jerry pick?
Jerry picked Noah Gregson, who scored 55 points to Ty Gibbs 56 points.
Yeah.
So it's from previous races that Jerry built up his lead.
There you go.
Meanwhile, I am tied for sixth in points with Justin.
Okay. And how are we
And-
doing in the Cup Series?
I was about to get to that. Zach is leading in the Cup Series with 123. Justin picked a winner. He's third in points, though, with 96. Jerry, you're second in points with 102.
21 points behind you. I'm coming.
I lost.
And I am fifth.
Joey didn't do anything for me.
Well, I am fifth in points with 68. And I feel bad for Rachel. She picked the last place at Daytona, got 24 points at Auto Club, picked last place at Vegas.
Yeah.
She has 26 points.
I know how that feels. I've done it before. So let's kick things off. Who's the first to pick with the Xfinity?
Summer.
Summer's Xfinity picks. Summer is going to pick.
So does she get first pick again?
She gets first pick in Xfinity.
Like everything.
Well, not non-cup or non-cup, but well, probably for those of us on the show, she does. But yeah,
No, I mean, like, if she picks somebody, do people on the show get first pick?
people on the show get first pick.
Okay, so I can pick her pick.
You could pick her pick.
Yeah,
Well, go
let's-
ahead. Well, okay, so
let's have the three of us pick. And
yeah,
then
let's
we'll go
the
to
three of
Summer.
us pick first, and then we'll go back to Summer.
And I have other picks as well.
Okay, so for who's first? That's you, Seth, right?
That would be me for Xfinity, and I'm picking Justin Allgaier.
Okay.
And next would be Zach.
That was my number one pick. He's really good at Phoenix.
That's why I'm picking him.
Yeah, another guy who's really good there. He's been great all year long. Gonna have to go with Gregson. Pretty much literally my top 5 picks are JRM cars. So
Well, at least two people are gonna have to go with their second pick now.
So you went with Gregson, and he went with
Allgaier.
okay. So I am going to have to pick. Oh man, this is tough. Wow.
never
Wow.
at the Atlanta entry list, right?
Yeah. I was looking at the Atlanta list earlier. I sure was. I think I would have liked the Atlanta list even, better. This is
Well, Atlanta will probably have a double yellow line rule too.
yeah, that's gonna suck. I'm gonna have to go with AJ Allmendinger.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to let Christian know that he's gonna need to repick.
Okay,
On the show. Come on the show.
Yep.
get on the
Well-
show. That's right.
So Summer picks first, and then I have some other picks.
Summer's gonna pick Josh Berry.
Okay. So in order, the next person would be Sarah. Her first pick was Gregson.
Okay.
So she's going to have to go with Hemrick.
Okay.
Let's see. Christian would pick Ty Gibbs. However, Rachel picks before him, and her first pick was Gregson. Her second pick was AJ Allmendinger. Her third pick was Ty Gibbs. So
Okay.
that's how she gets Gibbs over Christian. So I'm going to need Christian's pick. Summer picked Barry. So Justin has to go with his second pick, Austin Hill.
Okay. Did he pick Austin Hill last week?
He picked Austin Hill's teammate last week,
Okay.
Sheldon Creed.
Okay.
So now we're on to Cup, which of the three of us on the show, I picked first as well. So I'm actually going to go with Kyle Busch.
And I get to pick next.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
And I didn't pick him last week, did I?
Last week,
I
you
didn't-
picked Larson.
I picked Larson last week. Dang. Oh man.
See, I think the streak's going to end for Hendrick. That's why I'm going with Kyle Busch.
Man, oh man.
Help me out, Jerry. Pick who I want to pick. It'll make my I'm gonna stop talking.
I'm sitting here looking at the list, and it's insane. I'm gonna go, man. I'm gonna have to go with Denny Hamlin.
Okay. And picking first of those not on the show that I have picks from is Rachel.
I have to pick still.
No, he has to pick.
Or yeah, you're right. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
You didn't pick who I wanted you to. I'm between two guys, and I wanted you to pick one of them so I can pick the other.
Oh, who was it?
Well, it's either Elliott or Larson.
I can't pick Larson. That's the problem. See,
Okay. That's
I would have picked Larson. That was my
But
plan.
if you picked Elliott, then I would have picked Larson.
Right.
Well, I'll say this. No one who sent me picks picked either Elliott or Larson.
Oh, okay. They'll appreciate my pick then. Dang. Yeah, Boston's on a hot streak again. I know how he gets with 1-2 finishes. One here last year. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Larson. It's my second time already. I'm kind of boring, but he's boring too. He goes out there and spanks them. So gotta go with the money is.
That's
And
true.
Rachel is picking Martin Truex Jr.
I almost picked Martin Truex Jr. That was a toss up.
Next is Summer, who is Summer picking.
Summer is going to pick. Joey Logano.
Okay, and I did get a new pick for Xfinity from Christian. John Hunter Nemechek.
I saw him on there. He's in a Sam Hunt car, so I don't know.
And he's also next for Cup, and he's picking Harvick for Cup.
It's a good pick.
Then after Christian is Matt, but I don't have any picks for Matt.
Okay.
Then it's Sarah. Her first pick was Harvick, which Christian took. So she's going to end up with Alex Bowman.
Okay. There's worse drivers out there.
And Justin gets his first pick, which is Tyler Reddick.
All right.
So the only person I don't have picks from is Matt.
Well, we will get to we'll put the list out, and Matt can call in and put it in the chat that we have. So I like doing this. I like the pick. It's fun. It's especially with the whole we can't pick the same driver every week this year.
And also starting to get into a rhythm of having people send picks ahead of time makes it a little bit more organized and a little bit more streamlined too.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And
we can announce them on the show. We can announce like everyone's picks on the show.
Right. And I'm good with that. I think this is fun. When we get a guest, maybe we can get the guest to pick too.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Well, maybe as long as they're not racing in that series anyway.
Hey, I don't
Because
care.
I'm sure they're going to pick themselves.
Oh, well, that's fine. They get priority. If they're racing
True,
in the series,
true.
they get priority to pick themselves. We can't pick them. So,
Although-
Jerry picked all guy, let me go clean him out.
Although I will say this, it'll be very interesting because I know some drivers are that realistic. If they go and they say somebody else is going to win that week.
well, they need to be picking themselves because they got to go 100. They got to give 100%. So I'm sure most everybody's going to tell you, yeah, we're going to win, even when they know they're not going to win. So
Or a teammate. They usually pick a teammate or
yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us this week, except for one issue. As most everybody knows by now, the David Gilliland Racing ARCA hauler had an accident at mile marker 595 on Interstate 20 in Longview. It's about 250 miles directly north of my house. Steven Stotts, the driver of the hauler, lost his life. The other two passengers in the hauler One of them was a co-driver, another one I think was a tire changer. They were riding out there to Phoenix for the ARCA race. They were able to get out of the hauler, which was completely engulfed in flames when firefighters got there. And from the information that we have in our story, and we got from the from Sergeant Gene Dark with the Texas Department of Public Safety, a Honda Passport pulling a box trailer ran into the back of the hauler, caused it to shift. The hauler flipped over, and it went through the barricades into the other lane, into the eastbound lane of traffic, and that was when Mr. Stotts was had lost his life. So our thoughts and prayers go out to not just David Gillen Racing and the Stotts family, but to honestly to every hauler driver, every team out there, because we're on the road tens of thousands of miles cumulative throughout the year. And you know, when I was out at Vegas, a couple of guys were talking to me at the restaurant at Steak and Shake there at the South Point, and it was a couple of hauler drivers. And you know, I have the utmost respect for those guys, because when I was doing playoff pursuit, I would get into between the haulers and hang out with those guys, and I'd stop at their, you know, when they would stop for gas and stuff like that. They're really great people, and they love what they're doing, and they love getting these cars and these teams from track to track. And they are the unsung heroes of this sport. So if you're a NASCAR fan, you know, send your prayers out to the team, to the Stotts family, to David Gillen Racing, but also say a little prayer for all of the haul drivers out there who get the cars and get everything back and forth as we travel across the country. There has been a GoFundMe account set up to help with funeral expenses. If you would like to contribute to that, I think we can put that in a social media post. We'll put it under the Kicking the Tires account. And if you were interested in that, please give to that family so that they can take care of their needs with their loved one. Guys, this is, y'all can weigh in, but this is a tough sport, and you know, this type of stuff can happen, but you're never really prepared for it.
Yeah, you can't be. I mean, it kind of hit, as I said, I was kind of looking through articles, and it really wasn't until I got to Jerry, your article, where I was able to really grasp kind of what really happened. And really when it hit me was when I saw the overhead shot. Wow, that was, man, brutal. You rarely see an accident of that magnitude. I'm just glad that it didn't take more lives than it did. Massive fire, and so unfortunate for obviously his family, but you know, the race team overall. Yeah, that's just brutal to hear. And just hauler drivers are cool. You know, they have a really cool job. You know, it might be very tedious, and you know, we all spend a lot of time on the road. A lot of people do for a living, but you know, when they have, you know, a 5-hour, 10, 15, 30-hour drive, when they get into town, they're the superstars for maybe an hour or two. Like we see how they're treated at Vegas. You know, many tracks have a hauler parade. When they show up, all the fans are sitting there waiting for them, and all the kids are, you know, asking them to honk the horn, and they have, you know, the underglow. You know, they just look amazing. Like that's when you know the sport's real, and that's when the sports come to town, when you see those big haulers. And I'm sure that made his job feel very fulfilled. That's when that type of job gets the recognition that they deserve, you know. So when they do show up, it's like NASCAR's in town. Like this is it. Everyone gets excited, and it's time to go. So they're the first ones there. Maybe not the last ones to leave, but that's just because they gotta get to the next track or get back to the race shop. It's a brutal job, and that was terrible to hear.
NASCAR's a family. The industry as a whole is a family. We take care of each other. Granted, sometimes we don't always get to show it. Sometimes we don't always get to see it. But I do want to say kudos to Young's Motorsports, because there was a crew member over at Young's Motorsports that set up the GoFundMe for the Stotts family. Also, on another note, I do also want to mention a friend of Kicking the Tires. He's been contributing to us for the past year or so. Vincent Delforge, who is a NASCAR statistician and historian. He's battling small cell renal adenocarcinoma. And he's reached a point where he is offering race teams, if they were to run his logo, even if it's not visible, if they just take a picture of the logo on their car, that he will donate $100 to cancer research.
For each logo.
For each logo.
And, you asked me about the story, and, I wanted it to have an impact when it ran. And the truth is, the headline says it all. Vincent knows what the ultimate fate is.
Yeah.
And his prognosis this last time was not good. The cancer metastasized to other parts of his body, including the new lungs that he'd gotten.
Yep.
So as you said, NASCAR is a family, and when we lose people, it hurts, just like it hurts your families. And we may fight. There's people that I argue with on the road all the time, but they're still family. They're part of this. They're part of this racing family, this NASCAR family, and I take that very seriously. So it was an honor for me to have you write Vincent's story and have it on the site. Thanks for doing that. Hate to end the show on a down note, but it's for everyone out there. Take a second, hug your loved ones, tell them you love them, take care of them, and remember, you never know with this crazy world, with what's going on in Ukraine, you never know what's going to happen. You don't know what tomorrow brings. So just remember that, and never take a day for granted. Live your life to the fullest. And that will do it here for us on Kicking the Tires this week. We'll see you next week, and we'll go from there as we move on down the road. Thanks a lot, guys.